this video we're going to be repairing the oil leak around this throttle shaft. This engine is a 3306 and this is a mechanical fuel pump. It's quite a common oil leak and it's quite an easy fix. You need to remove the throttle cable and the mount that holds the throttle cable on. Make sure you mark the clamp that goes on the throttle shaft so that you know the orientation for when you put it back together. Next you can remove the 6 bolts that hold the plate on. And then use something to tap the plate free. I used a spanner. You can use whatever you want. You're only trying to break the seal from the gasket. Important step, when you pull the plate off, push the center of the shaft back towards the pump so that all that doesn't come out, because you can actually remove that and that will create a lot more work. Next, remove the gasket. Clean the back of the plate and then pop the seal out using a screwdriver. Clean the bore up and just check that it's nice and free from burrs or anything else. That's the side that will be facing the pump and that's the side that will be facing out towards us. Make sure you get that right. A socket works really well for installing a seal like this. You just go through your socket set and try and find a socket that has the same diameter as the seal, and that'll work just fine. Push it in square with your fingers and then drive it home using the socket and a hammer. Once the seal's home, just check that it sits flush and it's not up on one side. You'll have to spray a bit of brake cleaner in there and clean a bit of the oil out that sits on that step down in that casing, or else it's just going to run all over where you're trying to put your gasket and it's not going to seal properly. You're not going to hurt anything as long as you keep the brake cleaner low and down in that, like that step down I was talking about that seems to hold the oil. You can give your shaft a rub with a bit of sandpaper if it looks a bit scuffed, but this shaft is pretty good so I left it alone. I've got 2 1/4-inch bolts with the heads cut off that I'm just going to use as a stud. You'll see it makes it a whole lot easier to put the gasket on. Then you can go and put your 4 bolts on and then remove your studs. I'm using the rattle gun just to run them down, I'm not hammering them on.
Yeah, my top drill.
The torque for these 1/4-inch bolts is 9 to 12 Newton meters, but I always go to the lowest setting on these bolts just because they're so small. And the manual says to start on the middle ones and then work your way out, as I have in that pattern. Now we can put our clamp back on and make sure it matches up with the line we drew. Tighten it up. If when you pull all this apart you find that your shaft has a bad groove in it, You can try positioning your seal differently in the plate and not drive it all the way to the bottom like I did, and that'll seal on a different part of the shaft and should stop the oil leak. And that's all there is to it. Pretty easy job and cheap on parts. If you like videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel where you'll find more of the same. Cheers.